Welcome to NDTR Spotlight. I'm your host, Marie Lorraine. Today, the FNCE conference is coming up. Well, not today, but the FNCE conference is coming up pretty soon. So today, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about what's coming up. It's coming up October 16th and 17th, and it's going to be virtual this year. They wanted to put the safety of everyone up front and forward. So virtual was the best option for them to be able to do that this year. And there was good news about the one last year. So hopefully this one will just be just as, exciting and new opportunities will happen being a virtual conference. And I do have to give a little disclaimer. I have never been to a fancy conference ever. I want to go at least once before I die, a couple times, honestly. But I wanted to look at the FNCE conference now with the lens of an NDTR and looking at the NDTR kind of spotlight focus that I have, always looking at things through that lens now that I'm doing this podcast and enjoy doing the podcast. And so I spent about 2 hours for you guys, so you don't have to, looking through the conference and seeing where NDTRs were being featured, talked about, or were promoting or talking about things in the conference. And so I looked through all of the speakers, lots of really interesting topics that I wanted to dive into and read more about, but I was trying to streamline my time and figure some stuff out for you and trying to be super optimistic and positive. I did find one NDTR who has a session that she is doing. Her name is Lori Clean. I hope I said your name right, Lori. She has a master's of public health and she is an NDTR. So I was so excited. And it's funny, she was the first name I clicked on. And then I was like so hopeful. And then I clicked through all of the sessions and she was the only one I found. But maybe I missed one. So you could go back and double check me if you have the luxury and the time. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of show you a little bit about her. So her name is Lori Klein. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but she has a master's of public health and she's an NDTR. And her topic is focused around developmental disabilities, which is such an important area to talk about. A lot of times research is on about obesity and diabetes, cardiovascular disease, these huge, very important overarching health concerns that can be directly affected by nutrition. But it's really nice when we can hone in on a population that can easily be neglected, unfortunately. And so she is doing the research and she clearly has a passion for this topic. As you can see here, her two sons have autism. So she understands it. She deals with it. She lives with it every single day. And her capstone for her master's of public health was improving nutrition outcomes for adults with autism, development of nutrition education protocol for direct staff care. And she even was a co-author for a nutrition chapter in the 2018 Handbook of Intellectual Disabilities, Integrating Theory, Research, and Practice. So a little bit more about her talk. Her session is going to be October 18th from 11:30 to 12:30, and it's titled The RAM Chief Program, Building Skills and Self-Efficacy of Nutrition Professionals Through Culinary Instruction for Persons with Intellectual Disabilities. So if you are curious and want to learn more about that, the full descriptions there, learning objections, the description, and then the performance indicators. So you can definitely give that a look. I'll link the link down to this page down below. But super exciting to see her standing out and being one of the lead speakers in this topic as an NDTR. And so keeping with looking for NDTRs, I was curious about awards and honors and where NDTRs were shining there. And originally I had thought that I would see more DTR awards. There are awards that are specific for NDTRs. One that comes to mind is Outstanding NDTR of the Year award that's given out on a yearly basis. However, I could not find that reward on the FNCE conference. I'm not sure why. I might not have been looking in the right place. I'm learning along with you, so please give me a little bit of grace there. So I did a quick little search on this page, typing in NDTR, and I found one dietitian, Margaret Rowe. She's getting the Medallion Award, and she is in recognition of a whole bunch of things. But what I found exciting was it says here her inclusion and promotion of the RDN and NDTR in government, patient care, school, community, and legislative settings. And so, I mean, if you've been listening to us for a while, we definitely encourage DTRs transitioning to the RD and also DTRs just staying DTRs. But it's nice when you have that transition from RD to a DTR, because then you have RDs who are looking out for DTRs and are able to be an extra voice for them. And so it's just so nice when dietitians are mentioning NDTRs and understanding their value, because not every dietitian understands or knows. So very excited to see that. And so those are the two spots I found in DTRs being featured in the FNCE conference. And I think it's a start. I'm not sure how many NDTRs were in previous ones. This is the first year that I've taken the time to really dissect the website and search for this credential. But I wanted to do this because I want to encourage you guys and put out a challenge. So Dre and Courtney, these are two NDTRs that have been featured on NDTR Spotlight. You can definitely give their interviews a listen if you're interested. But they are very active in the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And a lot of times the money and having to pay that membership is a little frustrating, because you're like, what am I getting from it? And it is expensive if you're not doing anything in the academy. And so opportunities that come to mind for DTRs is being a part of the subunit group for DTRs in the DPT group. They have networking events and you can meet other people and just be encouraged that way. And another opportunity is being able to speak at things like FNCE. So, and just being involved in the academy, you get good connections and networking. And the opportunity to apply to speak in FNCE for the next conference is here. And so the applications are due in November. Don't worry though, I don't want to boggle you down. I want you to enjoy FNCE, but I will be putting out another podcast pretty soon about the process it takes to apply to be able to speak at FNCE and get you thinking about, can you, and the stuff that you're doing in nutrition, do you have something that is of interest? And even just going through the process of applying is good practice and just get your name out there. And so if we want the NDTR credential to get recognized and be heard more and be more out there, then NDTRs, we need to rise up and take advantage of these opportunities and apply to speak at FNCE and be a part of the subunit group and get your voice out there in the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. That's a really great way to solve that frustration that most NDTRs have. I know it's one that I had the whole time I was an NDTR, of nobody knowing what we are. And that's one of the reasons why this podcast has been created. And so I know this podcast isn't going to change that. It's you guys listening for the encouragement. And hopefully we'll take this as a way to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. So be on the lookout for that spotlight. I think next week we have some more interviews, some more NDTRs that we're going to be chatting with, but that'll be coming out soon. And before you go, it's NDTR Spotlight 1 year. We're 1 year old, October 1st. So in celebration, I do have to ask for a gift, but it's nothing too crazy. Just a second of your time to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast, the video podcast. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, if you could leave us a review, hopefully just 5 stars because it's our birthday. 5 stars, and just let us know how it's been beneficial or helpful, or if you're excited about finding it. And I really appreciate that. We started off with 0 subscribers on YouTube. Now we're at 91, over 3,000 views. Instagram's up to almost 400. And I tell you these numbers not to brag on it, but just those numbers to me mean that people are finding out about the NDTR credential. And that's the goal. That's the purpose. And so appreciate your ears, appreciate your eyes, appreciate you for what you're doing. And I'll see you in the next spotlight.